Alrighty guys, so welcome back. Not doing anything on the layout today, just relaxing, enjoying watching some of the engines running around for a while. But the other day I noticed a question about my layout, how big it was, and what is the size that I'm working with right now. So I figured today would have been a good day to measure out everything that I got here. Now, of course, this is not to scale, but it's just to measure out what I'm working with. So as you can see, each section, and that is each of these layout sections right here, are about 2 foot wide each. So that's about what I'm working with. And here's the center of the layout, and that would be this area. The actual layout is, I know, kind of a weird shape, but I didn't measure out things quite right at the time, is 13 foot 11 inches by 7 foot 1 inch. And the space that I'm working in is technically a 2-car garage. However, because we are using this as a storage unit, also, I can't use up the entire premises. So the space that you see where I'm sitting now currently, which would be about here, is 6 foot 1 inch. And that is the area between the layout and the wall to your right, where that door is that you are seeing. All of that cannot be occupied from where the edge of the layout is to where I'm sitting, because there are 2 reasons why. Number one, attic. If we ever had to go up there, which we do because we keep some of our Christmas items and other items up there, that has to come down. So that cannot be occupied. What am I sitting right next to? That little circle is the water heater. So if that ever goes, I cannot block it. I gotta be able to get through here. Over here, where you see the 6 foot right here, is this wall over here where you see the saw and shovel hanging and the electrical box. That there cannot be occupied either, because we go from this door sometimes outside. So we like to keep that area unoccupied. So that is a no-go. So the only other options that I can do if I plan on moving this layout out more, and I've talked about it before, is I can either put out 2 little sections, or at least like a couple of sections right here, from basically this wall down to about here, which would technically be about where this section here is on the layout. Before, so I can only go from about here all the way down to the edge of the wall. And I can do a yard up in here, and that can give me some more space around here. throughout the entire layout. That would eliminate the yard that I'm using now and put in some industries down in here possibly. Or what I can do is put something kind of small relatively up in here. Again, imagine this, where this line is that you're seeing right here is the garage door. I can put something right about here and have a short little yard, about 4 or 5 tracks in here, because either way, right over here, I want to put a locomotive facility. So that'll be at least 3 tracks wide in here. And that I can possibly cross over up here somehow. I don't know. The problem is I'm using 35.5 radius curves from Bachmann, and I don't know if there is a diamond that would allow me to go from here to here and still around the main line here. So, and the reason why I have to use 35 radius is because whenever I get my Greenbrier up and running, the brass one, that has to run on this 35.5 inch radius. It can only run on this. So I can't shorten the radius up too much. I can, however, eliminate this little section that would be right here, which is where the little power terminal track right there is, and give myself some more room throughout the main layout, and that would bring the track in just a little bit more, but it would take out some of the switching operations that I want to do, because one of the 2 major plants that I want to do is a lumber facility and a paper mill, and I'm thinking of maybe even doing like a gravel plant. So, and that'll be basically all down in here. Of course, the mountain's up here, so, and I'm thinking of maybe making over in this little area, basically from the edge of this over and down, all like a small little town. And then I still don't know what I'm going to do up in here. But all this over here is, as I've said, a locomotive facility. Locomotive and / car repair facility. So, and a lot of people were saying if I do the yard here, I can, and just have it stop right here, but it would only be going in one direction like this. I can possibly put a switch that would go out from here up, and right on the very edge of this, well, it'll be right on this part here, I can have a line that'll go down to here and then exit or enter the main line to about here. And that'll be like a sliding / yard runaround. And then have all this up in here about 2 foot have yard lead, and that'll clear out some space down here. Or I can put another section up in here and then have all this as a yard. So I'm still planning. I think I may go with put the yard here if I can, and free up some space on the main layout and start coming up with some stuff. The problem is I need to get some buildings, figure out what buildings I want, and then figure out the dimensions of those and put them on the layout, so that way I can start drawing up another track plan and see what I can get. That's going to be the problem. So there's the overview of the layout. Once again, if you got any suggestions, let me know. Other than that, I will talk to y'all later.